There's the bell, and here's Guy Lamont.
Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, and this, the classic championship fight.
Rocky Marciano retired undefeated. Muhammad Ali beat some of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But what if these two legends had fought each other in their primes? Two eras, two very different styles, and one question: who would have came out on top? Before we get into this dream matchup, let's break down their stats and see what each fighter brought to the ring. Be sure to watch this video to the end, and don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Rocky Marciano was a relentless, one-of-a-kind fighter who refused to be stopped. He wasn't the tallest or the fastest, but he made up for it with pure grit, an awkward but effective style, and a gas tank that never seemed to empty. He constantly leaned to his right, which took his head off the center line and made it harder for opponents to land clean shots. He wasn't the slickest defensive fighter, but when he wanted to, he could be surprisingly hard to hit. His glove positioning was unusual too. He kept his right hand in front of his face rather than by his chin, making it difficult for opponents to land jabs cleanly. But Rocky didn't just block, he parried punches and immediately countered, making his opponents pay for every mistake. His low crouch was another key to his success. Being a shorter heavyweight, he made himself even smaller, forcing opponents to punch downward, which often left them open for counters. And when Rocky attacked, he did it with bad intentions. His signature weapon, the overhand right, nicknamed Susie Q, was an absolute wrecking ball. He'd throw it from a high angle, making it difficult to see coming. And he had a way of disguising it by leaning forward as if he was going for the body. When it landed, it was devastating. But his left hook was just as dangerous. He constantly feinted to confuse his opponents, setting them up for brutal hooks they never saw coming. If he threw an uppercut, it didn't even matter if it landed. Just lifting an opponent's head was enough to set up a follow-up left hook. Rocky never stopped coming forward. He pressured relentlessly, shifting through his punches to cut off the ring and overwhelm his opponents. And he could take a punch too. His chin and stamina were ridiculous. While others slowed down, he seemed to get stronger as the fight wore on. He wasn't just a slugger, he was a fighter who broke opponents down, physically and mentally. That's what made him undefeated. Muhammad Ali wasn't just a great fighter, he was a force of nature. He had everything: speed, power, intelligence, defense, and the kind of confidence that made his opponents crumble before they even stepped into the ring. His jab was razor sharp, snapping opponents' heads back before they even knew what hit them. His footwork was just as legendary. He moved like no other heavyweight had before, floating around the ring with ease, making it nearly impossible to pin him down. But Ali wasn't just about speed, he was a master strategist. He found his way breaking all the so-called rules of boxing. Instead of keeping his hands up, he baited opponents, dodging punches with pure reflexes. He leaned back, something coaches would tell you to never do. But for Ali, it worked. He made people miss by inches, and before they could reset, he'd fire back with lightning-fast counters. His ability to read a fight was unmatched. He knew exactly when to move, when to attack, and when to let his opponents beat themselves. One of the best examples of Ali's genius was the famous Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman. Foreman was a monster, knocking out everyone in his path. But Ali wasn't scared. He leaned against the ropes, let Foreman swing for the fences, and made him waste all of his energy. Then, when Foreman was exhausted, Ali finished him. It was a perfect mix of mental and physical toughness. Ali didn't just outbox his opponents, he outthought them. And of course, Ali's mind games were legendary. He was the king of trash talk, not just to entertain, but to get inside his opponent's head. He made them angry, reckless, and easy to pick apart in the ring. His words were as sharp as his punches, and by the time the fight started, most of his opponents were already beaten. Rocky Marciano was a beast in the ring, finishing his career at 49-0. Along the way, he had some truly unforgettable wars. One of his biggest moments came against Archie Moore in 1955. Moore was a veteran, one of the best to ever do it, but Marciano didn't care about reputations. He was there to win. The fight wasn't easy. Moore even knocked Marciano down in the second round, but Rocky was built different. He got up, took control, and by the 9th round, he had beaten Moore into exhaustion, knocking him out and defending his title. Then there was his rematch with Jersey Joe Walcott in 1953. Their first fight had been brutal, but this time, Marciano wasn't in the mood for a long night. He came out swinging and knocked Walcott out cold in the very first round. Just like that, it was over. Pure destruction. Azar Charles got the same treatment in their second fight in 1954. Charles had pushed Marciano to the limit in their first meeting, even cutting him badly. But in the rematch, Marciano was out for revenge. He kept pressing forward, wearing Charles down, and in the 8th round, he finished him with a knockout. Of course, we can't forget how Marciano won the title in the first place. His first fight was against Walcott in 1952. Walcott was the champ, experienced and tough, and he was actually winning the fight. But Marciano never stopped coming forward. In the 13th round, he landed one of the most famous right hands in boxing history, knocking Walcott out cold and taking the heavyweight title. And then there's Don Conkle in 1955. Marciano showed no mercy, breaking him down round by round before stopping him in the 9th. Another fight, another knockout, another title defense. Every time Marciano stepped into the ring, he fought like it was life or death. No one could handle him. Muhammad Ali's career wasn't just about boxing. It was about proving people wrong, time and time again. When he fought Sonny Liston in 1964, most thought he wouldn't last a few rounds. Liston was a wrecking machine, feared by everyone. But Ali wasn't like everyone else. He danced, dodged, and made Liston look slow and clumsy. By the 7th round, Liston gave up, and the world had a new heavyweight champion. Ali had arrived. Fast forward a few years, and Ali was facing another monster, George Foreman. Foreman had destroyed Joe Frazier and Ken Norton in just 2 rounds each. People thought Ali was crazy for taking the fight, but Ali had a plan. He let Foreman punch himself out, leaning on the ropes and absorbing the punishment. Then, in the 8th round, Ali struck a lightning-fast combination, and down went the champion. Just like that, Ali shocked the world again. Then, there was Smoking Joe Frazier, Ali's greatest rival. Their first fight in 1971 was called the Fight of the Century, and it lived up to the hype. Frazier never stopped coming forward, landing huge shots to Ali's body. In the final round, he landed a left hook that sent Ali crashing down. Ali got up, but Frazier won on points. It was a brutal war, but Ali would get his revenge. Their third fight, the Thrilla in Manila, was even worse. It was 14 rounds of pure hell, both men pushing themselves beyond human limits. Frazier's eyes were swollen shut, and his trainer finally stopped the fight. Ali won, but he later said it was the closest he'd ever felt to dying in the ring. At his best, Ali was untouchable. When he fought Cleveland Williams, he put on a boxing masterclass, moving like a lightweight and making his opponent look helpless. Ali wasn't just a great boxer, he was a genius in the ring. He fought the best, beat the best, and made history doing it. If Muhammad Ali and Rocky Marciano had ever stepped into the ring together, it would have been one of the most fascinating heavyweight matchups of all time. Both men were undefeated champions, dominating their respective eras with completely different fighting styles. But if they had met in their primes, who would come out on top? In a head-to-head fight, Ali would likely have the advantage. His speed and reach would allow him to keep Marciano at a distance, jabbing and moving before Rocky could even get close. Ali's footwork was second to none, allowing him to float around the ring and control the pace of the fight. His ability to slip punches and counter with lightning-fast combinations would be a nightmare for Marciano, who was used to opponents that stood in front of him. Ali was also incredibly durable, having taken shots from some of the hardest punchers in history and still managing to recover and win. That said, Marciano was a relentless pressure fighter with an unbelievable chin and knockout power in both hands. Never stopped, never beaten. While he struggled against fast technical boxers, his conditioning and work rate were unmatched. He would keep coming forward, forcing Ali to fight at an uncomfortable pace. If Marciano could cut off the ring, get inside, and turn the fight into a war of attrition, Ali would be in serious trouble. His signature Susie Q right hand has the potential to end the fight with a single shot. So, would Ali's speed and intelligence be enough to outmaneuver Marciano? Or would Rocky's pressure and power eventually wear him down? Let us know in the comments below. Who do you think wins and why?